gentlemen, Sherman D. Manning joining you live from Los Angeles, California. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. This is a political podcast, baby. We discuss the social issues here. But don't get it confused. We also acknowledge the fact that this is the day which the Lord hath made, and I shall rejoice and be glad in it. This morning when I rose, I didn't have any doubt. I knew the Lord would take care of me. I knew the Lord would provide for me. I knew He would make a way for me. And I am glad to be alive and in the land of the living one more time. New mercies, new mercies, new grace, new grace. Thank you, Lord. I'm glad to be on the planet. How's everybody doing out there? It is now 8:19 a.m. and Donald is at it again. He has now announced that he believes that President Obama is the founder of ISIL and that Hillary Clinton is the co-founder of ISIL. If you all didn't think he was a nut before, you should know it now. Do you really want anyone on the world stage representing the United States of America who's willing to make such foolish, asinine, derogatory, threatening statements? This would cause world instability. We cannot let this man anywhere near the White House. The only where he needs to go to is to a psychiatrist. The man needs to shrink. The man is unhinged, unstable, irreparable, incorrigible. Don't let him anywhere near the White House. Let's talk Ed Snowden for a moment. Shift gears. I read where Ed Snowden is getting $200,000 per year in speaking fees. He is doing what's called digital speaking appearances. And public American universities are footing some of the bill. Now, if Ed Snowden can do that from Russia, then I think I need to get signed up for digital speaking tours. So if any of my listeners out there know anything about digital speaking tours, you want to be my agent, I'm serious, give me a call. Let's get it done. You know, some speakers bureaus, give them my name. I'm ready to talk criminal justice at any university, politics at any university. I am ready. Sociology, anthropology at any university. As Dr. Louis Yablonsky told me 3 years ago when I was still incarcerated, he said, "You are an experienced therapist." EXPERIENCE, no D. EXPERIENCE, experienced therapist, because of what you have gone through. And God has blessed me to write 22 books about wrongful convictions, the judicial system, the racism of the prison system, police brutality, prison guard brutality, prison gangs, prison rapes, prison murders, prison riots, etc. I think I'm in a position to hopefully be able to share something that might elucidate the criminal justice system from a paradigm and an aspect and a perspective that is not often talked about in American jurisprudence. So if you know of a college or a university in another state that wants a digital speaking appearance by yours truly, you give me a call, give them a call, hook it up for me. ShermanDManning@gmail.com. Send me an email, ShermanDManning@gmail.com. 404-386-9356. Let's do this. Please call your friends, text them, send them an email, and let them know that the podcast is available. Tell them to get it on demand over Spreaker.com or whatever platform you are listening to it on. Please be aware of the fact that The Truth About O.J. Simpson, Race, Class, Money, and Justice is still available and doing well, and it will be doing even better if you will get your copy today. Get it at Amazon.com or get it at your local bookstores. We'll talk more about Snowden some other day. In the meantime and in between time, I just wanted to touch bases with our listeners. I want you to tell me what you like about our podcast, what you don't like about the podcast, what we could do to make it better, what we could do to make it stronger. I have not forgotten that I said every night I'd like to start doing the podcast at 10 o'clock p.m. We're not there yet. We're trying to get there. I aired something last night that was a little bit odd, but I went to a church service at what's called Just As You Are Ministries, pastored by a female pastor, Rochelle Nooner. Nooner is her last name. Pastor Rochelle Nooner was holding a service, and while there, I just wanted to give you a little taste of the service, and so I put it on the air so that people could hear it. You might have heard me in the background singing backup. Never told you all I could sing. Excuse me. Because I can't. Not too well, anyway. And so, what are we going to do about Donald? I think we need to send him back to the Trump Towers and send in a shrink. I'm saying it almost humorously, but it is a serious thing. I just thought last night, can you imagine this man representing us on the world stage? I mean, first of all, how do you fix, my grandmom used to say, how do you fix your mouth to say that? What kind of position do you put your mouth in to even utter such a foolish statement? My question is, how do you fix your mind as a potential world leader to potentially be in position to become the most powerful person on the planet? How do you even put your mind around thinking that a United States American president co-founder? I mean, I don't even want to discuss it because it's so unserious. But the reason I have to discuss it is because it is serious. Because it's a statement that he made. Sounds like an oxymoron. Technically, it is. A man who wants to represent this country, who would have the audacity, the temerity, and the insanity to utter such a ridiculous and preposterous comment. And to look you straight in the face and mean it. And mean it. And mean it. It'd be like saying, I'm trying to think of something. It'd be like saying, George Bush founded the Taliban. I don't like George Bush. I think George Bush has some racism in him. I think George Bush was a terrible president. I started liking him a little bit towards the end of his presidency because he became more emotional and seeming a little more humane. But I think his presidency was a bumbling failure, especially for poor folks and middle class Americans. Horrible president. Supported waterboarding. Supported a lot of the evil tactics used by the CIA, etc. Did a lot of things that I just totally disagree with, and I can't stand Dick Cheney. I think Cheney is the worst vice president in the history of this country, but I don't believe Cheney or Bush founded the Taliban, and I would never even make that kind of statement. So you can be incendiary and make statements for public attention or make statements to be sensational, etc. if you are a civil rights leader, or if you are a rabble rouser, or if you are a political pundit. But when you're a presidential candidate, it is irresponsible, to say the least, to make that kind of statement. Having said all of that, don't you love America? Can you imagine someone saying that Putin was the founder of ISIL? What would happen to them the next day? They would either be under the jail or under the ground. That is why I love the United States of America. Because at the end of the day, we do have this thing that's called freedom of speech and artistic expression. If someone asked me, does Donald have the right to say that? I would say absolutely he does. And we have the right to examine it. And as we examine it meticulously, my question is, does Orozco still support this man? Orozco is a prison guard down at Donovan State Prison. A racist. A racist. I hate to say it, but he is. He's a racist. Not the regular kind of racist. He doesn't hate all black people, but he has some racism in him. He's a blue-eyed guy who looks white, but he is actually Hispanic and Trump lover. One of the few Hispanics that I know of who supports Trump. But Orozco has some psychological issues, to be quite frank with you. And there are a couple of counselors down there whom I knew who actually like him some, and they respect him and they work with him. And I think when you're a counselor or a prison guard, you kind of have to, get along, to go along, to go along, to get along. But, there's a counselor or two who likes him, and they don't support his political beliefs, but they have a rapport with him. And then there was CO Mike Austin, who was a friend of a Rose Coast. Now, Mike Austin is also, well, he says he's a libertarian. That's a little bit phony. He's actually a Republican because he's going to vote Republican. He normally does if he makes a pragmatic approach. But Austin is not a racist. Stereotypical at times. Sometimes he has stinking thinking. And he's a prison guard, all the way through. But he's a patriot and a good man and a man who loves this country. And I guarantee you, he would disagree with Donald's statement. I just hope he would disagree enough to say, I can't vote for this man. I can't vote for this man. But I know Roscoe is not going to say that. And I know I'm talking in circles about people you all don't know, but I'm talking about two prison guards. And understand that when I was incarcerated, most of my political discussions were with guards. And in most instances, it was with guards who disagreed with my political beliefs, which was, actually great for me because I came up against such opposition that when I get some corroboration now, it's foreign to me and it won't let me get arrogant, and I'll never have to worry about getting conceited because I'm so used to being, oh, you're wrong, that's crazy. I'm so used to coming up against thugs, people with thug minds who wear uniforms and badges and think that they're something. And in most instances, they got one foot stuck in the trailer park and another foot, in the Department of Corrections. Most of them only one paycheck from government cheese themselves, but they come in there with the audacity to think they're better than someone else because I've got the keys and you're the inmate. That's how they act. I remember, Jimmy McCartney at New Folsom State Prison, one of the most pathological racists I ever met in my lifetime. Asinine. I hope he's listening. I hope somebody in San Jose or Sacramento down in that area will contact him over New Folsom State Prison, Jimmy McCartney, and tell him that Sherman D. Manning was talking about him like the dog that he is. A devil. I had to work with him every day. What's his name? Joseph Stratton, a sergeant with the Department of Corrections over in New Folsom State Prison, another Klansman. I came up against these guys every day, so I had to work around these guys and work for them, actually. And they were upset because I wouldn't call them boss. But I came from Mandela's School of Sociology, and Nelson Mandela said, I will never call another man boss. He can be my supervisor. He can be in charge, but he's not going to be my boss. My only boss is God. And so I had to work for these devils on a daily basis, and I came in with them thinking, oh, he's guilty of what they said he did, and he's slick, and he's manipulative. And they used to tell me stuff like, oh, you got away with words. You can make people, what do you mean away with words? What do you mean? You mean that I asked one of them, are you saying that I'm slightly articulate? Are you saying that I have a fairly good command of the English language? Are you upset because I don't talk like some of you all talk? They wanted me to say Ebonics, but I don't support Ebonics because I want to know if it's Ebonics when black folks do it. What is it when white folks do it? And if you see any of them on Jerry Springer show, half the time you can't understand what the heck they're saying. I'm serious, not joking. When I told Paul he gonna get your black butt back up her, and I told what? What do we call that? If it's Ebonics when black folks do it, what is it when white folks do it? Is it Caucasianics? What is it? So I don't like these labels that they try to attach to black folk to make it look like black folk are more ignorant than white folk, when at the end of the day, that is not true. That is not true at all. And then, we have this problem with even African Americans. When you speak proper English and you're grammatically correct, they'll say something like, oh, he's trying to talk white. And I would always say, no, I'm not talking white, I'm talking right. I'm using English, which is the predominant language in the United States of America.